A surprise January Apple event may be happening really soon. Plus, we've got some all-new leaks on the iPhone 16 looking amazing, and some new info on iOS 18 that is shaping up to be interesting. Let's break down the biggest Apple news of the week right now. So, January Apple events are rare, but when they do happen, they tend to be a really big deal. Go back to Macworld 2007, for example. That was in January, and that was just a little bit of an infamous event that gave us
an iPod, a phone. Are you getting it?
There was also the January 2010 Apple event that also gave us
the iPad.
I guess you could technically say there was one last year in January 2023. Apple dropped this weird virtual event, but does that really count? Let's just sort of forget about that one for a second, because January 2024 is shaping up to fix what was last year's issue and could be an opportunity for Apple to give us a big event and release a couple of brand new products way earlier than we thought. According to the latest leaks and rumors, 2024 is gonna be a pretty stacked year for Apple. We've got new AirPods in the works, big iPad upgrades, new iPhones, Macs. It's gonna be an exciting year, but I don't think that any of these, despite the rumors about an event happening, are ready for prime time, with the exception of maybe AirPods Lite. We had heard that maybe Apple is gonna do this like $99 version of AirPods. Maybe those are ready to go, but like new Macs, new iPhones, iPads, while they're all coming this year in 2024 and coming relatively soon, not ready just yet. Definitely not ready for a January release. Instead, it seems like Apple might use this time as an opportunity to talk about Vision Pro. Yes, Vision Pro is back in the headlines. It's going to be released very soon. We're talking a matter of days now is when you can actually go buy Vision Pro, use it for yourself, and it's actually going to be released. Apple's usually very funny with their timetables on what they mean with early and late in the year. They said Vision Pro would launch in early 2024, which many assumed to be like April, May. Apple stretches their definitions, but no, this time early 2024 means like in the first month of the year. And while an event for a product already announced does seem a little odd, if you think about it, it does make sense, because the last time Apple talked Vision Pro, it was more of a cool demo. They showed us some cool things it could do, the gestures, some of the cool accessories like prescription lenses, which I, for one, am very excited about. All that stuff is well and good, but with an imminent launch happening really soon, there's still a whole lot we don't know about Vision Pro. Like, can you give us a reminder of like how those gestures work? How do you pair different accessories to this? What accessories are even available for this thing? How do you turn it on? How do you set it up? There are still many unanswered questions, so maybe there is an opportunity for Apple here with a pre-recorded video or virtual event to give us a bit of an overview of Vision Pro, more specifically how it works, some of its top features, accessories, and how to actually use this thing before it goes on sale. And while we do now know some pretty important info like pre-order date, starting price, capacity, we know the actual release window of this, February 2nd, is when you should be able to go into an Apple store and actually get this thing. We still, again, have a lot of questions, like how many will be available? How hard is it actually gonna be to buy? Rumor right now is that they're gonna be in very limited supply. Also, how exactly do you get this thing set up? We're hearing from Apple right now that you'll be able to do a face scan through the TrueDepth system on your iPhone, but do you do this when you order? Is it something you do ahead of time? We still don't know that. There are still a lot of lingering questions here, and while a January event is admittedly unlikely, I do think there is definitely an opportunity, if Apple wanted to pursue that, to answer some of these big questions, give us some more info, and give us a bit of context to the device. A lot of us are gonna spend $3,500 on sight unseen. So hopefully we learn more about this very soon. A pre-recorded video or some kind of event would be nice. At least some more info on Vision Pro before its release would be very helpful, again, especially given the price. Moving on from that, while we are still a few months away from the iPhone 16, we've already got some leaks and rumors on what Apple is changing for the iPhone lineup this year. And I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but things are looking exciting, and if all goes according to plan, this could be a pretty good year for your iPhone upgrade. While we haven't heard specifics on a major design overhaul just yet, there are a couple of things to look out for. One is that Apple might be shifting or reverting their camera lens setup from the diagonal setup we've got right now, sort of, back to a vertical setup of like the iPhone XS. Also, like it or not, on the Pro models, Apple is expected to be moving forward with removing physical buttons. They're gonna give us fake volume buttons and sort of emulate haptics like they did with the fake Touch ID button back with, what was that, the iPhone 7? All the way back then with the fake buttons. Looks like Apple is going to go with that. And speaking of buttons, the Pro and iPhones may also get a new button this year, maybe a capture button. We don't exactly know what you would be capturing or how this would work, but it is an early rumor for the iPhone 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max. Also, speaking of lineup, we know the 4-phone lineup is sticking around this year, so iPhone 16, 16 Plus, 16 Pro, 16 Pro Max. There have been some rumors of an iPhone Ultra or an iPhone 16 Ultra. That could be amazing, but a little too early as of right now to tell if that's gonna happen or not. And speaking of the Pro models, a couple of cool features we're hearing about is that Apple not only has their sort of main 48 megapixel lens for those phones, but also they're gonna upgrade this year the ultra-wide lens from 12 to 48 megapixels. So 2 48 megapixel lenses on the 16 Pro series, gonna be cool. I'd also expect the 16 Pro to get the 5x telephoto zoom only in the 15 Pro Max, so that should come down the line this year. And also some bigger screen sizes should be coming to the iPhone 16 Pro as well, going from 6.1 to 6.3, and the 16 Pro Max going from 6.7 to 6.9. I'm not exactly sure who is asking Apple to give us even bigger phones. The 15 Pro Max is a big boy as it is, but if you're a fan of big phones, that should be a big change coming later on this year in the fall. And last up here is a little bit of news on iOS 18. Now, there's some good news and bad news here with iOS 18 you need to know about. One is that we're hearing from insiders and the leaks and the rumors that iOS 18 should be a pretty significant overhaul, that Apple is going to focus more on a redesign and bigger features than they have with iOS 17 and iOS 16. So if iOS has felt a little stale and boring to you, that should be changing very soon. Speaking of changes, we're hearing over and over again right now that Apple is going to focus on one area in particular to give a big upgrade to this year, a big change, and to really fix one of Apple's biggest issues, and that is Siri. Apple is going to be making Siri way smarter with iOS 18, according to leaks, and hopefully they get it right, because what has it been? It's been years since 2011 we've had Siri, and it's been progressively dumber and dumber and more limited every single year. Hopefully this is the year that Apple cracks the code. I love Apple, but Siri is dumb as a rock. It's been that way for years. They desperately need to get things right, and I feel like now is like their make it or break it. Either they get Siri way better in iOS 18, it gets way more useful, it's more accurate, it's actually able to do things, not just say, I found this result on the web. But if they don't get it right, I feel like this is just gonna cement Siri as sort of one of Apple's biggest failures, and just shows that even one of the coolest, most technologically advanced companies in the world just sometimes doesn't always get it right. They've got a flop. So a little bit of a calm before the storm here. January is gonna heat up and get very busy, especially if Vision Pro does launch at the end of the month, which is looking likely. That's gonna sort of make things crazy. And then we should get a spring event. We're gonna get WWDC, iOS 18, new iPhones. Gonna be a very busy year for Apple in 2024. So buckle up, put your seatbelt on, and get ready for hopefully one of Apple's best years in a long time. As always, I want to know your thoughts on iOS 18, your thoughts on Siri, the iPhone 16, your thoughts on Vision Pro. Are you in? Are you out for $3,500? Let me know down below your thoughts on that. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much for your support. I'm Robert Rosenfeld from the Apple Circle, and I'll see you all in the next one.